Inside the Pylon, a Midwest college football podcast, joined as always by Clinton Boring. My name is Ryan Satkoviak. Take two on the show tonight. Whenever I do it from the couch, man, okay, phrasing. Whenever I try to shoot an episode from the couch, I always screw up my mic. We are 2 episodes in a row on that. We are at the tail end of week one here. Almost all of the action is over. I got another quad box up on the TV here. We have the Utah UCLA game just kicked off. We're about to have a Cade Klubnik legacy drive here in the fourth quarter of LSU Clemson, and the freshman quarterback from Cal, whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce, having a pretty good game here. Fun day of college football.
Washington kicking off as well.
Washington will be kicking off here as well soon. I'm going to have to change my quad box here and get one of these games off my TV. Well, I guess once the LSU game goes final, that's that. Clinton, how are you doing tonight?
Well, let's see if it actually records this time. I'm doing great, Ryan. I'm pretty satisfied with Ohio State's win today. I expected it low scoring, but not quite that low scoring. But it was a hell of a day here in Columbus. A big sigh of relief. Apparently, Ryan Day may or may not have a nipple ring. Who knows? That was his first move of savagery after winning a natty. Got his left nipple pierced.
I don't know if that was photoshopped or not.
So it has worked itself around far enough, though, Ryan, that Leah's sitting on the couch and she just starts laughing. I'm like, what are you laughing at? She goes, did you see this photo of Ryan Day? I'm like, the one where it looks like he has a nipple ring in? And she's like, yes. But it's been a great day of college football, man. It's been a great day overall. A run of a couple days. The weather's been beautiful. Our windows have been open all day. This feels like October weather for the first full Saturday of football. Is fantastic. We've had great games. We've had technically Ohio State over Texas was an upset, given that the line switched and the rankings. Alabama got upset again. Kalen DeBoer's ass has to be hotter than Flamin' Cheetos right now. It's been a great day of college football, and then we get to watch this last LSU Clemson drive here together and see what Clay Cup. Well, never mind. Incomplete pass. See what Klubnik can try to put together. But I'm good, Ryan. How are you?
Is that our answer for the top 10 team that ends up unranked this year is Alabama? Probably not. That's probably a bit of an overreaction.
They'll figure it out.
I'm just like, they got their face kicked in. Legitimately pushed around.
Props to Castellanos. He spoke on it. And
he talked his shit and they backed it up. I don't know, like the way Auburn ran the ball on Friday night, and we have a touchdown from Utah. Is that Dampier? Please tell me is that the running back? It's the running back. I need the running back. Yes. Since Makai Hughes had no touches today. No, I just like it was because it wasn't even fluky, right? Like last year when Florida State lost to Georgia Tech in week 0, it was kind of the same thing where sure it was a last second field goal, but Georgia Tech pushed them around for most of that game. And from the get-go, man, Alabama could not run the ball. Ty Simpson did not have time to throw, and when he did have time to throw, he was not making good throws. They were giving up yards in bulk. Ooh, wow. Ooh, we might, Clinton, if we get overtime during the live stream here, this is going to be so lit. So lit.
Spicy.
I kind of wanted to start off today. I have a little bit of an outline here. I just wanted to kind of gauge how you're feeling about your playoff bracket after week 1 here. You have a Clemson-Alabama national title game as the 1 and the 2 seed. Your 2 seed is already 0-1 to an ACC team that went 2-10 last year. And as we speak right now, your 2 seed is losing to an LSU team that may or may not be good.
Yeah, I'm not overly thrilled by that. Given that both of those are my championship game representatives. Listen, they're both going to make the playoff, especially Clemson. Clemson's going to, regardless of what happens here, they're going to run through the ACC. They'll probably have to meet Miami in the ACC title game and see what they can do, and then go from there. Alabama, though, I'm probably a little more concerned about with my bracket. I was damn concerned about Georgia Tech last night, farting around with Colorado and almost not pulling that off, although thanks to Deion Sanders' bad coaching and choosing not to utilize 2 timeouts in the last drive, that certainly helped.
Oh, yeah, I forgot you had Georgia Tech in here too, man. They can't run that offense all season because Haynes
You're
King
gonna
will
kill Haynes King.
die if they do.
Yeah. Yep. But overall, I don't feel bad. It's obviously still alive. It's week 1. Alabama's got to figure something out. I don't know if it's going to their stud 5-star freshman who's sitting there and not Ty Simpson or what, but maybe we're both giving too much, or maybe we're harping too much on Alabama and not giving enough credit to Florida State.
They did look
Norvell
good.
clearly 2 years ago put this team ready for the playoff until I'm blanking, it was Jordan Travis snapped his leg and then they were left out. This is also 2 years in the waiting for a revenge game against Alabama. Different coach, different team. Maybe some extra motivation. You got Thomas Castellanos, who was casted off from BC. He's in a better system that fits him now. Gus Malzahn is calling
Oh,
plays now.
he is a
So
Gus Malzahn QB, and if you like, he's also very Jordan Travisy too.
So maybe it's not Clemson, Miami. Maybe it's Miami FSU or Clemson and FSU in the title
Yeah, I
game.
guess.
Maybe Norvell bounces back this
Yeah,
year.
maybe that's what Florida State looks like when you don't try to have DJU and Brock Glenn and whoever else try to play quarterback for you last
Yeah.
year.
Absolutely. Well, how are you feeling about yours, Ryan? I got a text from our friend Xavier today. And it's like, wonder if Ryan regrets not putting Ohio State in the playoff yet.
Yeah, I mean, I still think they'll go 11-1 because I don't think they're beating Michigan until they show it. But I mean, my concern. Well, we'll talk about Ohio State, and maybe this is a good segue into the Ohio State discussion because that was the game of the day, a 14-7 win over Texas, where their defense was the story. They replaced eight starters from last year's team, and they don't look like they missed a beat. The secondary was outstanding. Not maybe as stout with the run D as they were. Are you ahead of me? You're definitely ahead of me because yeah. Oh, and that's going to be the ball game. LSU is going to beat Clemson.
And Clinton's 2 championship teams are now 0-1. That's
unreal.
the fun of brackets, folks. That's the fun of brackets. Guess I'll redo it in March.
Yeah, there you go. We'll do the here after week 1. Here's our new bracket. God, we're gonna get that all season where it's just like everyone's like, here's our predicted college playoff bracket after week 1 results. Like,
well, this is the hard thing with I feel like college football this year. There's only, I guess you can count Garrett Nussmeier in there, 3 big known quarterbacks coming back from last year that are on the same team, and you don't know what you're gonna get. And clearly tonight, the not real Death Valley will win in the real Death Valley. So
listen, before I eat my Ohio State crow, I'm gonna take my Clemson victory lap in. I told you I had questions about their offensive line. I had questions about their running game, and are we sure that Cade Klubnik is elite? Because none of those questions were answered in the positive tonight.
Yep.
But no, man, like I think there was definitely and there's concern over both Ohio State and Texas, right? Given what they replaced and how would that look, and if there was a unit on that field that we can sit there and say like, okay, there's enough back here to be kind of like, I don't know, excited's not the right word, but to feel confident, I think it would have been the Ohio State secondary given what they brought back, and they were incredible in this game. They had Arch was seeing ghosts. We talked a little bit pre-show. I wonder if he got hit early in the game and mucked up his shoulder just because he was doing a lot of the shoulder, kind of trying to shake it out between plays. And they did some kind of slow-mo on some of his throwing motions, and he just did not look comfortable throwing in the pocket. And I don't know if that was a in-pain thing or just, again, he was seeing ghosts thing, but he was missing guys that were wide open. They had multiple mesh concepts drawn up throughout the game where he had a receiver running open over the middle of the field and threw it over him, threw it behind him. And ideally, you'd like your guys to make the catches in that situation, but also that's a throw that a guy who's been hyped up for 8 months and we saw 900 times in commercials during the game today, that's the throw you need that guy to make. So Matt Patricia, hats off to him. The NFL to college defensive coordinator pipeline continues to be alive and well, and he looks like the next hit in that string of, looking at Al Golden, Wink Martindale, guys who made similar jumps, who had high levels of success the last couple of years. And if that's the Ohio State defense that we get throughout the majority of the season, Clinton, I mean, I don't know who else in the Big Ten is going to beat them. And I mean, I think there's still questions on the offense, and I don't know how much of the offense in this one was game plan, like, hey, let's just manage this as best as we can and let our defense carry the day, versus legitimate questions about their ability to move guys in the run game or whether or not they have a true difference maker at the running back position. But defensively, man, Ohio State looks as stout as they were last year. And if that's the case, it's going to be a scary thing for college football in 2025.
Yeah, I think anytime you get the new quarterback in, right, and a change up on offense, whether it be your star running backs, your star receivers, and even the O-line to a point, right? They had 2 guys go in the first round, so they have guys who have played, but you're still mixing in some new pieces there. You got to lean on your defense, and that's exactly what they did today. Caleb Downs everywhere. Davis Enigmanosin, best of the day with 10 tackles, 1 pass deflection, and guess what, Ryan? No penalties
Yeah.
for Iggy. And then you also had, Jermaine Matthews everywhere.
Big interception.
With the 1 interception, he's batting down passes. He damn near tipped one to where Sonny Styles almost had another interception. Then you also had Jalen McClain at safety, who I believe also had 8 tackles today. And that was the question that you and I talked about, I think it was last show, is who can line up beside Caleb Downs, and can Hartford and McClain be the safeties that lets Caleb Downs roam, which is what made the big change for Ohio State's defense last year, is when he can move around. And Downs was everywhere today. He was blitzing off the edge. He was faux blitzing off the edge, dropping back into coverage. He was in the middle of the field. He was deep in the field. He was everywhere. The other key piece here is, I don't know if you caught him, Ryan, but number 8, Arvell Reese, he is an absolute monster. Ohio State took a linebacker and lined him up at defensive tackle, and he whipped the guard's ass and got in the back. If he didn't get the sack that play, I think he got a hit on Arch. And then this is where I believe, I forget the guy's name that I watched, but he was talking about the NFL style stuff that Matt Patricia has brought, and it's called a coffee house blitz. And that is the one where Arvell was lined up on the line of scrimmage to look like he's going to blitz, and then he faked like he was going to drop into coverage, and then he stunted around and then just wrecked Arch Manning. And the guard had no clue what to do. And so someone was pointing out, probably in a way that like Wink Martindale and Al Golden come in here, is these guys get these level of talented players, and they're like, I've got the best available at almost every position. I can utilize my NFL concepts in a college game to where college offensive linemen and college quarterbacks don't understand what the hell they're looking at because they don't see it till the next level. So as you said, if this is the defense Ohio State's going to have all year, and I'm kind of with you, right? Like with Michigan, like even as an Ohio State fan, I need to see it. I need to see you get the monkey off your back. But if this is the defense that plays all year, they're going to make another playoff run because you're not going to score on them. Again, they held Texas 1 for 5 on 4th downs. They were elite inside the 10 again, stopping Texas twice, the one being on essentially the 1-inch line where they stuffed Arch. Cade McDonald and Edric Houston, big plays on those. The defense was fantastic. They had Arch Manning, maybe shoulder injury, maybe not. They had him looking pretty average from everything that Paul Feinbaum and ESPN said, glazing all over him all offseason about essentially he's the next coming of Jesus Christ. The one thing that I had before I get to Ohio State's offense, the question with Sark was he started utilizing the motion and pre-snap movement in the second half, and why he didn't do that in the first half, I'm not for sure. Obviously, he's an offensive genius, but he gets in his own way when it comes to some key play calls. We saw that in the Cotton Bowl, and then he did it again today. And again, it takes 2 to tango there. So Ohio State had to execute defense, but Sark kind of played into their hands there. Looking at the offense, Julian Sand looked pretty comfortable, man. He did not look like a first-time starting quarterback with Colin Simmons, who essentially, actually, I don't even know if he played today, Ryan. That's how non-existent his stats were because he did nothing.
It was like 2 tackles, and that was about it.
Yeah, with an elite-level Texas defense, Sand looked good. And Ohio State, per Ryan Day, and this is his quote, Day admitted the game plan was a bit conservative, but with a first-time starter, he wanted to put his signal caller in the best possible position. So a lot of people were speculating Day had a play sheet on the sideline. They were like, Ryan Day's got to be calling this game. I'm like, no, guys, I think he probably has the play sheet on the sideline because he's constantly communicating with Brian Hartline on how are we going to coordinate this year? Maybe Day had his hands in this game a little more than he will moving forward. I think you can feel fully confident that Day doesn't need to say anything against Grambling next week. But you need to win this game. And if Ryan Day needed to give some input to get Ryan Hartline across the line in this game, then that's perfectly fine. You won the game. Ohio State's offensive line and pass pro looked really good. I don't know if they got a couple hits on Sayin, but no sacks on the day for Texas. Sayin again was kind of hurt early on by drops from Max Clare and then 2 drops from the guy who we hadn't seen drop a pass since game 1 of last year, Jeremiah Smith. Maybe it's just the game 1 yips for him. And then the running backs. And I think you alluded to it. When you lose guys like Henderson and Judkins, it's hard to just instantly replace that, right? Like those guys are 2 second-round picks. Once Judkins gets his crap cleared up, they're going to be 2 starting running backs in the NFL. That's a lot for Peoples. Actually, Donaldson, to me, looked like the better running back of the 2 today. I think it's because Ohio State was just being so predictable. Max Clare had 1 catch on the day. I don't know how much Max Clare played because Ohio State kept running out their blocking tight ends, Bennett Christian and Will Kazmarek. And then Jelani Thurman was out there as well in power looks. So they were being very predictable in what they were going to do. We'll see. They're not going to get another test in theory until at Washington. Maybe Parker Navarro can stress the defense a little bit with his legs and his mobility, which will help prepare them for Damon Williams. But they're going to get nothing from Grambling next week. So overall, first game of the year, low scoring, 14-7. Even when Texas got the ball back, I was not nervous that Ohio State was going to lose that game. They had done nothing all game to show me why Ohio State's defense was just going to give up the game-winning touchdown. I know Arch scored the touchdown the drive before, but that was also one where it very easily could have been a pick that ended the drive for him. I was not afraid of what they were going to do. I felt very confident Ohio State would get the stop, and they did. So congratulations to the Buckeyes on getting your first win. That is now their 26th straight opening game win, Ryan. Last loss, 1999, to the team your team plays tomorrow night, the Miami Hurricanes.
And that's just the kind of game. Like, that's one of those, like, you just need to win. It doesn't matter how you do it, right? There's no such thing as style points. You get that win on your resume. No one's going to sit there at the end of the season and be like, well, you only had 225 total yards of offense in that game. Nobody cares. And, realistically, unless they completely crap their pants against a team that is significantly less talented than them, it's almost a playoff clinching win because you can still lose to Penn State and you can still lose to Michigan and at 10-2 with a win against, unless Texas completely falls apart. Like, that's a win that stays on your resume. So good win for Ohio State there. I want to go next here, Clinton, to Thursday night. Is the curse broken? Nebraska 20, Cincinnati 17. They finally won a 1-score game at the end there. Malcolm Hartzog with a big interception in the end zone to end the game. I think it was either a play or 2 after he had a pass interference penalty that extended the drive for Cincinnati. What do you make of Nebraska in this one? Because it was kind of one of those games that it looked like a slog for a little bit, but they moved the ball well. They just struggled to finish drives, it seems, right? Like they had 2 field goal drives in the second quarter that ran 11 plays and 16 plays. I thought Raiola was fine. They weren't really explosive offensively, but I thought they were efficient enough. Emmett Johnson had 100 yards on the ground. Overall, pretty good game.
Well, I just realized, given that I removed my quarter zip, I had my mic on mute, so I was trying to comment. It was the play prior that he was called for pass interference before he made that interception. Then I realized Ryan can't hear me because I'm muted. Ryan, listen, the only storylines from this game was it's a love story, baby, just say yes.
That's
Newly
true.
engaged couple, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift in attendance as Travis Kelce and his brother Jason played for the Cincinnati Bearcats. Patrick Mahomes and wife Brittany Mahomes were in attendance, and then Dylan Raiola was busy doing his best Mahomes impressions at any point in time during the game. And just looking at somebody showed a video of when not Mahomes, Jesus, when little Mahomes ran out onto the field and did like a Mahomes-esque intro into the Kingdom, Chiefs Kingdom Stadium. Mahomes like turned and looked at somebody so annoyed and he just said something. I'm like, this poor guy. It's like this kid is obsessed with me, man. I hope Dylan Raiola someday gets drafted to the Chiefs and sits behind Mahomes. That would be perfect.
Ay.
But yeah, man, overall it was a hard game to watch. I felt like there were opportunities that were ripe for Nebraska to take and not have this game be close. I mean, Raiola 243 with 2 TDs. You mentioned Emmett Johnson 108 yards. You know, this what I looked over, they dominated in every facet other than the overall score. They also had a 19-minute time of possession advantage.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's week 1, right? You got the win. That's what you needed. You're building into next week. You got to fine tune things. You know, again, we talked about his stat line, but thinking back to Raiola, there were some very easy passes he missed.
Mm-hmm.
And again, maybe it's the week 1 jitterbugs. He's got Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Taylor Swift sitting in the stands. I don't know if that played in his head. Who knows? But one thing I do know is Husker Nation showed out, and I would say 95% of those stands were Nebraska fans.
Mm-hmm.
This game, as you remember what Redcast Rob told us, was originally supposed to be at Nippert.
Mm-hmm.
At home in Cincinnati, and they decided to move it. And given how this game ebbed and flowed, as close as it was, and you and I did not get this right in our pick'em this week, thanks Nebraska, it very well could have went the other way if that was home at Nippert with a little crowd advantage there. But what do I make of them? It's so hard. It's week 1, right? And in a team where we're expecting so much, and we don't really know what to expect from Cincinnati. You know, their first year in the Big 12 last year didn't go great for them. Was it first year or second year? Regardless, didn't go great for them. So I don't know what to expect from this team. So I guess we'll follow Cincinnati along. And if they have a pretty solid season, then this looks like a good win for Nebraska. And you just win it any way you can.
Yeah, you get a Power 4 non-conference win again. It's a good resume booster. And with where Nebraska still is in their growth as a program, I don't think you can really complain about winning a game like this, right? Like, eventually you had to get that one score, get that late defensive stop, win on your resume, a game that you didn't choke away. And I think many people made the joke on Twitter. Maybe it wasn't a joke on Twitter, but the comment on Twitter that, 2 years ago, even last year, this is a game Nebraska probably loses, and they did not. They stood tall in the end there. So, big win for the Huskers. And yeah, I'm not putting too much stock into a week 1 performance like that. But new receivers, Dane Key and Isaiah Hunter, both stepped up and seemed well integrated into the offense. Key had a touchdown. Both of them had 6 catches. Key 51 yards, Hunter 65 yards. So, a couple weapons out wide there for Dylan Raiola to hopefully utilize as the season goes forward. Next, Clinton, I've titled this one, "What the hell was that?" Tulane 23, Northwestern 3. Preston Stone does not appear to be the immediate answer at...
Wait, I have a quick question. I'm raising my hand.
Okay.
Are we not tackling the other Thursday night games?
We'll get to them.
Okay.
I have an
You're
outline
good.
here. Yes.
You're moving. I got you.
Yeah, I got an outline here. And that seemed like, I don't know if it's the biggest game of the weekend, but there was a lot of duds on the weekend. So I do want to do, because one, Tulane, right? Like, that's my playoff team right there. That's my G5 playoff team. But also, like, Northwestern, again, goes to the portal for a quarterback. And I don't know if you, I don't think it's fair to say that you were high on him. You were higher on him than I was. 4 interceptions in his debut, 50% passing, 161 yards. They rushed for 2.8 yards per carry as a team. Griffin Wilde had 6 of those 19 catches, but otherwise no one else really stepped up for Northwestern. Are we concerned that Northwestern might now be the bottom barrel of the Big Ten, given what happened elsewhere in the conference?
First off, what was the name of this one you gave it?
What the hell was that?
Mine was just got embarrassed. This was my side piece came up while I was watching Ohio State, Texas, and Elliot pops over because he's watching the OSU.
Wait.
The hell was that?
I knew I had it in there.
Elliot looks over at the computer, goes, "Daddy, who are those teams playing?" I'm like, "Well, that's Tulane and Northwestern, son." He goes, "Who we rooting for?" I'm like, "Well, we'd probably prefer, being Big Ten country, the team in the white to win." He goes, "I think the team in the green's going to win." Oh, but they did, son.
Smart
And
man.
literally, are
Smart
you
man.
reading off my sheet at the bottom? I said, "This may be the worst team in the Big Ten this year." You know, I was hopeful. And again, it's week one. We didn't expect Northwestern to be playing in the Big Ten championship. There's still a lot in front of them. If Stone can kind of lock back in, I don't know if we're going to ever get Preston Stone 2023 again, but if he can get some semblance of his former self, that would be greatly beneficial for the Northwestern Wildcats. 4 INTs you mentioned. Ryan, that doesn't stop there. He had 2 fumbles as well, and he lost one of those fumbles, so 5 turnovers on the day.
Not great, Bob.
His first 3 picks were all converted into points, that being 17 points. You want to know what his QBR was, Ryan?
I'm going to say under 20.
9.2.
Not great.
That's
not
pretty
great.
rough. Tulane outdid him in yardage, 421 to 237. What did I say in my key to this game for Northwestern to win? You need to stop the run. They didn't. 42 carries, 269 yards, 6.4 yards per carry for Tulane. And as you mentioned, Northwestern averaged a measly 2.8. However, you thought it was bad. It could have been worse for Northwestern's defense, as the Tulane wide receivers dropped 6 passes in this game that may have extended this ass beating even further. If you're a Wildcat fan tuning in and or just looking at your team, obviously you expected a much better performance. I don't know if you were sold that you were going to win this game. Matt Shelton told us in our fall previews this was going to be a very challenging game for Northwestern to go down and try to win. The reason I went with Northwestern, I believe it was +6, was because of all the turnover Tulane had, and it just didn't seem to matter in this one. So for Northwestern, you're left searching for answers, mostly at your quarterback position. You know, Malik Wright did not work out last year for you. Can Preston Stone find something to try to help this team out in the coming weeks?
Yeah, man, that was
I did see my favorite running back's name on their team, Hyman.
Jesus. They got gashed by the QB run in this one. I think Jake Retzlaff had a 70-yard touchdown run.
Yep. Watch that one happen.
So there are some quarterbacks in the Big Ten that run. So that's going to be no bueno for Northwestern as the season progresses. Real quick, just so we can touch on this, the big favorites of the weekend rolled. Oregon 59, Montana State 13. I thought Dante Moore played pretty well in this game. 2 sacks for Mateo Uiagalelei. Malik Benson, Florida State transfer, led Oregon with 5 catches in this game, but 10 different guys caught a pass, and 12 different players for Oregon had at least 1 carry, including Mekhi Hughes, who had exactly 1 carry for 2 yards in this game, the presumed starting running back, and he barely played, and I don't know that we know why that was. I think you reached out to Dale, and he said he didn't really know either.
Well, I sent him and I said, "Hey, man, at that point in time, you told me Hughes had no touches." So I sent him. I said, "Is he hurt, or what's going on? Why does he have no touches yet?" He's certainly not hurt. He is. I don't understand why he's not getting any work. So maybe it's something behind the scenes that we don't know. Maybe it's a practice thing. Like you wouldn't envision that, right? Like somebody that performed so well as a running back for Tulane in such a run-heavy program, you would think should be a pretty smooth transition. I believe all signs were pointing to Mekhi Hughes being the lead back for this team.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, man. That was definitely interesting. I mean, Noah Whittington led the team with 10 carries. Here's the other piece, Ryan. 12 players recorded a carry in this game, and Hughes had 1.
Yes, I just said that.
Is. Oh, I'm sorry. That's when I was. Sorry, I was undoing. I realized I wanted to keep my material in here. And I was undoing everything I deleted. So, my bad. Though, for the Ducks offense, impressive day for the receivers. They had 10 receivers who had a catch in this game, and all 3 of Dante Moore's touchdowns were thrown to different receivers. However, they were not to 5-star phenom wide receiver Decorian Moore, who had 3 catches, 26 yards, 2 carries, 17 yards on the day. And then your Big Ten reigning sack leader, Mateo Uyunglele, had 2 sacks to start this game as Damon Williams gets tackled for a massive loss by Colorado State's defensive line.
Yeah, their Washington's defense got kind of gutted on that first
Gashed.
drive too. So
Yes.
not feeling great about my Washington playoff
I
prediction
also
right now.
didn't realize how petite Damon Williams looks.
He's like
He's,
5'10". He
he's
might
small.
be 5'10". He is a very small human being.
Yeah.
And then other big favorite, Penn State 46, Nevada 11. Technically, that's a cover for Reno. Go us. Penn State has
Yeah, that's right.
receivers,
We took
Clinton.
Nevada, didn't we? Hell
We
yeah.
did. Penn State has receivers, Clinton. Treber Pena, 6 catches, 89 yards and a touchdown. Kyron Hudson, 7 catches for 74 yards. Had a nice toe drag catch on the sidelines as well. That had to be soothing for Penn State fans to watch. Drew Aller actually completing passes to wide receivers in this one. Not a lot of push in the running game, and that seemed to have been a little bit of a talking point that I at least saw on Twitter among Penn State fans is, hey, we're not super thrilled about how that went, but it's the first game and we'll see what happens. But they only averaged 3.8 yards per carry as a team. I think Nick Singleton only had like 19 yards rushing, but he had 2 touchdowns. And certainly you're not using those guys' tread early in the season for a game like this. Just get through healthy and go from there. So maybe something to monitor, but not something that I'm necessarily worried about right now.
Yeah, I'm not overly concerned. I think this game, maybe Kotelnicki takes the route of let's build chemistry with the receivers. We've got 3
Sure.
weeks to build this up to the Oregon game, and we're going to need Aller to have chemistry with his receivers. We know what we're going to get with a veteran Penn State O-line and Allen and Singleton. We know what they can do. But what took Penn State out of the playoff last year was the receivers. And off to a great start. Aller looked very comfortable with them. There was a point in time, there was one run, I don't remember what it was, but Aller kept fighting for extra yards. I'm like, homie, I get the purpose of you're a competitor, but get the hell down before you get your head knocked off and this entire season is over.
Yep.
Because they were up by enough at that point. I'm like, you don't need to be doing this. Like, just get down, man. But overall, solid day for Penn State. DDS was everywhere. He forced
Yes.
both of Nevada's fumbles. He added a sack and he broke up a pass. He was talking about it was a screen pass, and he knew it was coming, and he was obviously very disappointed he didn't get his first career interception, but did get the PBU. And the highlight of the day, Ryan Barker, 4 field goals for Penn State. So we got a field goal kicker to add to Penn State as well.
Wait,
So
did you say DDS first career interception? He had
no,
one
no,
against.
no. This is the ESPN article I was reading.
Oh,
So
because he had one against Notre Dame in the playoff game.
somebody misspoke then. But anyways, he was
ESPN,
excited
worldwide
about
leader.
getting the interception, and it just ended up being a PBU. To add to the rain on ESPN here, I heard their new app is absolutely ass and really struggled today for everybody. So clearly that didn't go very well for them. But overall for Penn State, nothing to worry about. You won this game easily, without anything popping up. And the stuff I read after the game, you got out pretty scot-free on any injuries that would be massively important. So good win for the Nittany Lions at home.
Next up, I just have it listed as Indiana. IU 27, Old Dominion 14.
I watched a lot of that game.
Yeah, I did too, because I had a fair amount of money on Indiana covering because I thought they were going to blow the doors off of them. And then they gave up a 75-yard touchdown run on the first play of the game and then stormed down the field only to turn the ball over on downs in a goal-to-go situation. And then they fumbled.
Yep.
And then they had another turnover on downs at the start of the fourth quarter when they could have got the cover, and then they gave up a garbage time rushing touchdown to the quarterback. They allowed Old Dominion's quarterback had 180 yards rushing in this game, Clinton. That's again, it's week 1. I don't know how much we're extrapolating, but IU did not look fantastic in this game, and given what's on their schedule, I would be a little concerned about their inability to defend the quarterback run in this game, because there's going to be a couple of teams that are going to try to take advantage of that. Positively for IU is they ran the ball exceptionally well. Roman Hemby had 111 yards on 23 carries. Kalen Black had 92 yards and a touchdown on 17, and then Lee Beebe Jr. had 73 yards of his own. So they ran the ball well, but on defense, only 3 tackles for a loss and 1 sack for IU in this one. So not getting a ton of push, which was a little surprising to me given how dominant their defensive line was last year.
So looking back, I wanted to check it out. Indiana only won 31-7 in their opener last year. So
Did
no
they play in
major
the opener?
FIU.
Oh,
No major pause for concern. Again, they gave up more points today, but it wasn't lights out right away. It was the following next 3 weeks in which they started eviscerating people, being 77-3, 42-13, and 52-14. So maybe we shouldn't press not that we're pressing the panic button, but the slightly concerned button.
maybe it's just a week 1 thing.
Yeah, it was underwhelming for what we came to expect from Notre Dame, or not Notre Dame, Indiana last year as they progressed along the season, where they just eviscerated any competition that wasn't even near them. 502 yards of offense is great, but you gave up 218 on the ground to your opponent, and you're in a league where people are gonna want to run the ball. ODU averaged 9.5 yards per carry. Again, that was probably aided somewhat a little bit late by the quarterback run. Time of possession, again, another domination, Ryan, 41 minutes to 18.
Oof.
And the game looked closer than it was, obviously, with the score at the end. So I don't know. Mendoza was a bit underwhelming as well. Just his mechanics were a little bit sloppy. Again, missing throws that you wouldn't think he would miss, especially facing a Sun Belt opponent. You figured it'd be a little smoother. Their short run game at times wasn't impressive either. They would get down in the red zone and they couldn't get 1 yard. I had on there marked on my outline as well. Great first game for Hemby. But Waffle House, let's talk on him. Fun fact of the day, his 39th consecutive game with a catch. So he continues to roll on. But overall,
They
no
tried to break
pause.
that, man. I don't think he had a target in the first half.
Well, that's why the stat came up later in the second half, is that he achieved it and he got it in there before. Obviously, he didn't. So, no pause for concern. If Indiana can't muster smoother performances in the next 2 weeks against their lackluster opponents, then I think we might be a little concerned about that Illinois game. And maybe you're a known commodity now, right? And we talked about they're not going to sneak up on anyone, and it's not ODU. But maybe it's that it's hard to get up for people as well as they did last year when you're already expecting that you're going to beat an ODU and it shouldn't be a game, and you're looking to your matchup against Illinois. And I'm sure Cincinnati's crunching film already to figure out what he needs to do. But again, IU fans, I don't think you need to be concerned. You'll be just fine.
Yeah, he was pretty blunt after the game. He was not happy with how they played. Next segment here. Are we sure these teams are bad, Clinton? Maryland, 39, FAU, 7. I misspoke on Thursday. Apparently, September Maryland is once again going to be a thing because they have a quarterback. Malik Washington looked really good in this game at 27 of 43, 258 yards, 3 touchdowns. They weren't great in the run game, but true freshman DeJuan Williams had 10 carries for 54 yards on the ground. They had 5 guys with at least 3 catches in this game, a little bit of a wide receiver by committee as they look to replace, God, why can't I remember his name?
Ty Felton.
And then as a team, they had 6 interceptions in this one. They did a really good job of limiting that Zach Kitley offense with Caden Beltcamp at the helm. And I thought FAU would keep this one pretty close, and they did not. It was a great game by Malik Washington and the Maryland team as a whole.
You hit pretty much all my bullet points other than one, which I'll get to in a second. Shout out Malik Washington, absolutely shined today. That's really positive for Maryland. And Billy Edwards was fine last year, but you saw what this offense and this team could do when they had someone as effective as Talia Tungavailoa. And if that can be again, he's a freshman. It's the same thing we talked about with a lot of these newcomers, but true freshmen being with Michigan and Bryce Underwood, they're going to be bumpy times. But coming out right away against Florida Atlantic with those type of stats, it has to make you feel pretty good given where this program was by the end of last year and then coming into this season. The one piece that Maryland's going to need to fix before Big Ten play, or they will lose because of this, is 14 penalties in the game.
Yeah, that's not good.
This was very Washington-esque last year. Speaking of which, Utah is now up 20-0 on UCLA, and the route is on in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, they look really good right now.
Nico's watching his former teammates at Tennessee today, and Joey Aguilar just balling all over Syracuse. And
Poor
he's like,
poor Steve Angeli got his ass kicked in that game.
he's like, what the hell did I do? Anyways, got to clean up the penalties. We saw that problem linger with Washington last year that cost them a couple games. The same's going to happen with Maryland. If you don't have the elite talent to help overcome that, you're going to lose one down the road.
And yeah, this is something that I talked about with Jeff while you were on vacation about Maryland is doesn't need to necessarily, like, you'd love to get to a bowl game. It doesn't necessarily need to be a win total thing this year, but you need to find something to be excited about. And if you have a true freshman homegrown quarterback who has highs like that as they kind of get into Big Ten play, right? Like you just give a team a scare, you shock a team because your quarterback makes some kick-ass plays, then I think that certainly qualifies as something to be excited about. A little further west here, Purdue 31, Ball State 0 for the second straight season.
And I quote Ryan saying, Purdue might be a wagon in his text message to me.
I had that on my iPad while the Ohio State game was on because I also had money on Purdue. And Ryan Brown looked pretty good in this game. Like they did it wasn't quite the full Matt Sluka, Haj Malik Williams that Barry Odom was doing with UNLV last year, but they ran a lot of fun RPO concepts with him, and he had a really good game in this one. 18 of 26, 311 yards, 2 touchdowns. He hit sophomore Armad Branch for a 49-yard touchdown in the first quarter, and he went over 100 yards receiving in the game. Michael Jackson the third, I'm assuming it's not related to the Michael Jackson. He had 6 catches for 72 yards and a touchdown. They didn't really run the ball super well, but also they kind of got up early, and then it felt like they coasted a little bit. And I mean, I said this on the preview show. I don't know how bad Ball State is that Purdue was a 17.5-point favorite in that game. So maybe Ball State just stinks. And this is just like it was last year when Purdue beat Indiana State 49-0 or whatever it was in the first game. We're like, oh, wow, Purdue might be interesting this year. And then they sucked. So maybe Ball State's just really bad and Purdue's also going to be bad. But at least for one game, there's at least something to be excited about in West Lafayette.
The Barry Odom effect, man. Comes in, leads UNLV to their best record season of all time. Looking on the defensive side, well, first of all, I wanted to beat you to the punch on Purdue today. One, because I was excited they pitched a shutout. And two, I was going to say, what can Brown do for you? And then I was going to go into his stats. But you already beat me to it. The other impressive part was Purdue's defense held Ball State to 87 yards passing. That's pretty damn good given that Ball State was trailing the entire game. The defense also held Ball State to 4-13 on third down. So again, maybe it's aided by the fact that Ball State's not going to be very good, but those are impressive defensive stats for a team that brought on so much new, right? And we weren't sure what this team was going to look like. It helps, obviously, getting Brown back. He went in the Bill Belichick rehab program, and now he's going to be all Big Ten quarterback. Purdue also no turnovers today, and they only had 3 penalties for 25 yards. So, again, cleaning up areas that needed to be cleaned up. I don't remember who they have next week, but we'll see if they can build on a very solid Week 1 performance, which they had last year against Indiana State, and then it all went off the rails, no pun intended there.
Yep. I'll leave it up to you, man. What do you want to do next? Do you want to tackle the late games from Saturday, or do you want to touch on the rest of the Thursday, Friday games here?
Let's go back Thursday, Friday games.
All right. So rewinding here to Thursday, we had Rutgers 34, Ohio 31. This game looked like it was going to be a laugher for a minute in the first half. Rutgers went up 31-14 before a field goal drive for Ohio kind of jump-started them into the second half where they tied the game up before. Did they tie the game? I don't remember if they got it.
31-31. Yes.
Yep, before the that last field goal. I don't know what switch flipped there, but Rutgers really struggled to move the ball and sustain second half drives. But overall, I think there's enough positive offensively to take from this game for Rutgers.
Mhm.
Kaliakmanis looked pretty good, 18 of 23, 252 yards, 2 touchdowns. DT Sheffield, the North Texas transfer, really stepped up out wide to complement Ian Strong, who had a 100-yard game. I think Sheffield had it was like a 50-yard touchdown. He had 85 yards receiving. And then that two-headed monster in the backfield with Antoine Raymond and CJ Campbell combined for 150 yards rushing on 24 combined carries, and they had a touchdown as well. So really good offensive performance in this one from Rutgers. Again, it's against an Ohio defense that got a little bit beat up from portal losses, but defensively, Rutgers, man, not great at tackling. I get that Parker Navarro is a unique athlete that you don't maybe necessarily see a ton in the Big Ten, but I mean, you've got Washington on the schedule, you've got Oregon on the schedule, you got a Purdue team on this schedule where maybe their quarterback is a little bit more of a running threat this year. Illinois, Maryland, Ohio State, you got a lot of pretty good offenses on this schedule, and that doesn't necessarily inspire confidence that they're going to have a ton of success in the Big Ten stopping those attacks.
Yeah, in addition to the offense here on Strong and Sheffield, KJ Duff in that
Mhm.
trio, they were
Yep.
as advertised. All three, 16 catches, 239 yards, 2 TDs.
Hmm.
So the other impressive thing, especially in the first half, Rutgers was 5 for 5 on fourth downs. And if you guys had tuned into this game and noted in the first half, OU had a multiple opportunities. I believe 3 of those conversions were in the first half to get Rutgers off the field that would have prevented points, and they could not do it. You mentioned Parker Navarro, man. He is a game changer.
Hmm.
339 total yards, Ryan. 4 TDs and no turnovers.
Yep.
This is a MAC team on the road in essentially a night environment is what it became, and he had 0 turnovers. Super impressed with the young man. I know we lost, what was it, Coleman Owen, but they look like they have 2 reliable tight ends, but most notably in Jake Bruno.
Hmm.
Had a very nice game for them. So I'm kind of speaking more on the Bobcat side now. Exciting for what they have. They bring in West Virginia, who just beat on Robert Morris today. So I didn't even know Robert Morris played football. So we'll see what West Virginia brings into Athens next week. But Parker Navarro is going to be a challenge for them. And there's a good shot, I think, and a better shot if they were going to win one of these first 3 games. I think it was at home against West Virginia. But the Bobcats and the MAC, I think, again, they've got 2 more P4 games, but how they showed against Rutgers here, they're going to be right in contention again. They supported our hypothesis that they'd be one of the top 4 teams. Who knows what their defense looks like once you're into MAC play, because, again, you're at an extreme mismatch here, theoretically.
Hmm.
And when Kaliakmanis is the good Kaliakmanis, you're just probably not going to beat Rutgers. He was very
Yep.
solid
Hmm.
and made the right plays when they needed to, especially late in the game. So great first win for Rutgers. You nearly stumbled. There's Denzel Boston. Get in the end zone. I need it. Ah! He didn't score. Shoot.
Oh, that's a
Anyways,
beautiful ball.
that was a beautiful ball, but I need that touchdown for fantasy. Anyways, to wrap up Rutgers, Ohio, it was a fantastic game, and I was with you. I was sitting there, we were eating dinner, watching the game, and like, this is gonna get ugly. And
Hmm.
then all of a sudden, OU just flipped the switch and came back. So impressive by both teams.
And really, the MAC showed pretty well over the weekend. Well, at least Thursday, Friday night. I didn't really pay. I don't know how much they played. Well, Kent State got a win today for the first time in
Hmm.
2 years.
I don't know what happened to Toledo today.
They lost by 8.
Okay, so again,
They
good
went kind of back
performance.
and they didn't do shit for the first 3 quarters. It was, I think, 10-2 entering the fourth quarter.
Okay.
And they lost by 8. I didn't pay too much attention to that game though. Next one again on that MAC train, Minnesota 23, Buffalo 10. Drake Lindsay was really good in this game. 19 of 35, 290 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had an interception that really wasn't his fault. His tight end got blasted by the cornerback like half a second before he threw it. It hit the cornerback's or the receiver's shin and then bounced right to the. I think it was a linebacker. It was a big dude running back. But Darius Taylor, 30 carries, 141 yards. And realistically, Clinton, I think Minnesota probably could have made this game a lot uglier if they wanted to. They ended the game with a 16-play, 58-yard drive that took the last 10 minutes of the fourth quarter off the clock. They sat on the ball and said, "We are going home. Goodbye. I don't want to play this game anymore." I thought they did a really good job of limiting the Buffalo offense. We talked a little bit before, well, maybe it was, I don't remember if it was on the Mac one. I'm just not sure on Taquan Roberson, and that was kind of why, because him throwing the football was a little bit of an adventure in this one. And maybe it's not fair to assess him going against that stout Minnesota secondary in his first game, but really impressive win for Minnesota. And, there will be some ups and downs with Drake Lindsey as the season goes along, but that is a damn good first game against what's going to be a pretty good Buffalo defense this year.
I was a little less generous in saying a great first game for Lindsey, just watching some of it. Again, like we talked about with Raiola, just missing some easy things that he probably could have hit. But again, it's week 1. First time start for him. Excuse me. Overall, a nice game. Darius Taylor, I had the same thing marked for you on his yardage. The added note I had is, man, he ran hard, like fierce. He did not shy from contact, and he just bludgeoned people. The Gophers defense, man, they didn't look like they missed a beat with a new defensive coordinator and Danny Collins. They held the stud MAC running back Al-J Henderson to 25 yards on 11 attempts. And again, I know it's a Big Ten MAC mismatch, but sometimes when you get these stud guys at the G5 level, it doesn't matter. They still perform well because they're superstars. So great for Minnesota there. Again, Roberson, mixed bag. He had the one impressive 40-yard TD pass. That was good. I believe that was early second half. The biggest thing I took out of this, man, and hopefully this young man gets drafted, was Red Murdoch. He is a straight dog. 16 tackles and a sack in this game. So not only did he take his talent and evolve it in the next year, he did it against a Power 4 opponent. So impressive night for him. Again, this was another one that you and I hit when we noticed that the spread was so large of plus 18. It's like Minnesota's going to win, 99% likely, but to beat a MAC championship potential contender by 3 scores, I think that's a bit much for week 1, and we hit that one right on the head.
Also Friday night, Clinton. Oh, fucking A.
I'm under your bed.
Is there anything scarier than being a transfer quarterback walking into Madison, Wisconsin to play quarterback for the Badgers?
I don't know, man. I got to go to bed after that creepy ass sound now. Now I'm going to have Leah check under the bed for monsters or I close my eyes.
Billy Edwards.
Dude, it's brutal. Brutal.
The good news is it sounds like his MRI was clean, and there's actually optimism that he could return for their week 3 game against Bama, which maybe that game's a toss-up now, maybe not.
Oh, God, yeah. I just thought about that.
He left in the first drive of the second quarter after going 6 of 13 for 68 yards. It was reported on the broadcast as a non-contact knee injury. He was in a brace. He was in a brace and street clothes on the sidelines, and when you hear non-contact knee injury, your mind automatically goes to ACL. But he was moving around fine on the sideline, which was good. And again, it sounds like it's not serious, which is good, because I would worry for Wisconsin fans and their overall well-being if they lost a transfer quarterback for the 3rd consecutive year to a significant injury. Also a transfer quarterback, though, Danny O'Neal, he was fine in relief. He finished the touchdown drive there, but Wisconsin struggled to run the ball throughout this game. They had 43 carries, only 3.8 yards per carry as a team. Their D was really good, 3 sacks, 2 interceptions from Preston Zachman, including what was almost a pick 6 that got them that last touchdown at the end of the game. But it's just such a weird game to put too much stock in. I'm sure there's a lot of frustration from Wisconsin fans that the offense was not particularly great in this one, but you lose your quarterback, again, a third of the way through the game. And this was kind of how Jeff Grimes was with Kansas last year. They kind of putzed around for the first half of the year, and then they kind of got going as the second half went along. So maybe that'll be the case here. Again, you're switching from one offensive scheme to another. There's going to take some time to work out the kinks, particularly when you have to switch quarterbacks in the middle of the game. But any notable thoughts from you in this one?
Just about the Badger D. Holden Finn to only 83 yards passing. Again, this is an elite MAC talent at quarterback. We talked about how Miami was replacing a lot on their offense. I believe they had a decent amount come back on defense. So maybe with the mix of Billy Edwards getting hurt and then Miami still just being good on defense, kind of threw that there. You mentioned that the Badgers had 2 INTs. They also, I believe, held, did I read that correctly? Miami to 34 yards on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, extremely good performance from the Badgers defense. And then you look overall of the offense, they outgained them 353 to 117. And the defense held Miami to 0 for 9 on third down conversion attempts, Ryan. They didn't even get one. So as lackluster as the offense was, sometimes you got to just lean on your D. And Wisconsin did that in this game. They got away with it. They won it. That week 3 matchup with Bama looms at Bryant-Denny, which will be a stout challenge. Everyone's going to laugh at Alabama and DeBoer and Ryan Grubb and Simpson and all them for losing to Florida State today. That still will be a challenge. Bama is not going to just wilt and fall away, but it feels a little less daunting now, especially if Billy Edwards Jr. will be viable for that game.
That's all for Thursday. Heading to the 2 for games on Friday night. Just real quick. Illinois 52, West Illinois 3.
Don't need to spend much time on this one.
No, Luke Altmaier was good. The Illinois run game was fantastic. I really like Aiden Laurie. He has fantastic burst in this one. And I think the most notable thing for Illinois in this one is a wide receiver emerged. Hank Beatty, 5 catches, 108 yards. He also had 130.
Nope. Don't steal my punt return stuff.
All right, just you can talk about his punt return stuff.
All right, so Beatty, the first punt return TD for Illinois since 2013, and the longest punt return TD, it being 69 yards, since 2000. And then in addition, his 5 receptions for 108 yards. So not only just a wide receiver, but just an overall weapon for Illinois, who kind of came out of nowhere for them. And then just their defense, they just stifled the Leathernecks. Impressive last name to be such a bad team. Held them to 29 yards. So Altmaier didn't miss a beat. You already talked about the ground game. We said what Illinois' keys was: get in this game, get it over with, and get out healthy. And that's exactly what they did.
Also Friday night, Michigan State 23, Western Michigan 6. You got yourself a backdoor cover on this one on a pick 6 thrown by the backup quarterback at the end of the game. Michigan State looked good early. I think Aiden Childs is still missing too many open guys. He was fine in this one. It was the Aiden Childs experience. There were no turnovers that were backbreaking or anything of that nature. You saw the flash. You saw what makes him an exciting prospect, but you still see some of the same stuff that he was doing last year that made him kind of frustrating. But big breakout performances in this one from Mekhi Frazier, the running back. He had 14 carries for 103 yards. And Omari Kelly, who Carter shouted out on our preview. He had 7 catches for 75 yards in the game.
You know, you mentioned the Aiden Childs experience and the roller coaster that it was in 2024. Got a taste of it Friday night. He did fumble twice. They lost one. So again, it wasn't an interception, but you got to take care of the ball, man. Especially in a game that, backdoor cover to make it look closer than it was. I don't feel like Michigan State probably ever felt in jeopardy of losing this game. But a concerning part is they didn't score any offensive points in the second half, which I guess shout out to Western Michigan for playing better defense, but you think you'd have scored some type of offensive points in the second half, given how pretty solid you played in the first half. And then, defense, they only allowed 29 rushing yards. So we mentioned again, Western Michigan, the stat was 195 plus. They don't lose games. Well, guess what? They didn't even get past 30. So that is including sack yardage. So the backs total got a little higher, but again, nowhere near that mark that they had last year. Yeah, it could have been a little closer. Western Michigan turned it over on downs twice in Michigan State's territory, and they missed a 46-yard field goal. But overall, again, it's week one. Solid night for Sparty.
And then real quick, just to wrap us up here for the evening, we have 5 games that either went final late or are still ongoing. Right now, Utah is up 20-7 on UCLA. We will kind of talk about that one a little bit on our Monday show. Nice touchdown drive led by Nico there. He had a couple nice scrambles and a nice run there. And then right now, Washington is up 14-7 on Colorado State midway through the second quarter there. But for the 3 games that are final, let's start Iowa 34, Albany 7. Where the hell do they find these running backs from?
I know, man.
They just they pluck one out and one leaves, and then there's another guy that you've never heard of who was never on your radar who is doing crazy things. And
Being Xavier Williams.
yes, 11 carries, 122 yards, and a touchdown, and he played as much as he did because Kamari Moulton left this game after 3 touches. He had 3 carries for 23 yards. Did not sound serious based on what Kirk Ferentz was saying after the game, which would be good news for Iowa. But also Terrell Washington, 15 carries, 69 yards, and Jazian Patterson had 7 carries for 47 yards. However, the notable thing from this game was Mark Gronowski was not fantastic. 8 for 15, 44 yards. He had a touchdown throwing and a touchdown rushing, 39 yards on the ground. Apparently was cramping a little bit, which may explain why he was not as effective throwing the ball. But, I mean, if you're going to run for 300 yards, I guess you don't need your quarterback to be fantastic. Just run the triple option or some variation of it. But they will need more from the quarterback and the receiver position going into Big Ten play.
Yeah, that was the running joke on Twitter. People said, hey, look, it's the Iowa offense again. Like, well, not necessarily untrue on this one, given how much we heard with Gronowski coming through this offseason. But again, lean on your run game and lean on your D. And Iowa showed out today with defense, allowing only 177 yards for Albany. So a little bit better with the Phil Parker defense here as Damon Williams takes off down the sidelines, probably only to have this brought back for a hold, would be my guess with the flag. But solid performance from Iowa. It's got to be better. You're heading into 2-0 Iowa State next week. Maybe you catch a break because Iowa State had the big game in Dublin, Ireland. They had a very easy matchup today, and now they've got to play a solid opponent. I don't know if I can call Kansas State a solid opponent because they damn near lost to North Dakota. They needed a miracle to win today.
Right.
So who knows what Iowa State is, but Gronowski's got to be better or Iowa's not going to win that game.
Yeah, I thought that Iowa State would have that their hangover performance today, and they beat the crap out of South Dakota. So that'll be a fun game to watch. That Cyhawk game is going to be fun. USC 73, Missouri State 13. I'm not really sure what we can extrapolate from this one because I don't want to do that overreaction like people did 2 years ago when they shut out like San Jose State.
Already happening on Twitter, Ryan.
When they shut out San Jose State or whoever, and everyone was like, "Look at Alex Grinch's defense is so much better," and then he got fired 7 games later. So we're not going to overreact to it, but Jaden Maeva in one half was 15 for 18 for 295 yards and 2 touchdowns. They ran for 233 yards and 6 touchdowns as a team. Their leading rushers actually came from the second half when halfback, I think their 4th-string halfback, King Miller, he had a 75-yard touchdown run, 80 yards total, and Husan Longstreet ran pretty much the entire second half for them. He had 8 carries for 54 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mekhi Lemon was really good, 90 yards on 7 catches. Jacoby Lane, pretty quiet day, but again, when you're beating the crap out of an overmatched opponent, you don't really need him. Tight end Lake McCree also had a 64-yard touchdown in this one. Kamari Ramsey was all over the field. He's a really good safety.
You hit everything I had pretty much. USC dominated from start to finish. We said that was going to happen in our preview to be unconcerned about, and they did it. 70 points shows you otherwise exactly what we were saying. I don't know what else to add, man. It's for USC. I got to see it when you have Big Ten play. What I was alluding to on Twitter was the USC fans. Great win for you guys tonight if you're joining or at any point you listen. But the comments were, holy shit, we have a defense.
No, you don't.
And I'm like,
It's
you're playing a team who is in their first year in the FBS.
yep.
What did you expect to have happen?
Yeah. They're like,
You
well,
still have
you
to
should beat the crap out of bad teams, Clinton.
Yes.
It's like, okay, that doesn't mean anything still.
Yep. You've got to make sure you can tackle. And guess what wasn't tested that after we talked to Ryan tonight? The offensive line. They're not getting tested by this team.
No.
You're going to get tested when you play your Big Ten opponents in Notre Dame. And that's when shit may hit the fan. So I will reserve my judgment. Good win for the Trojans. It was expected, but you looked clean and you got out. What sounds like pretty healthy. So good job by them.
And then last, but certainly not least, particularly in Clinton's heart, Michigan 34, New Mexico 17. This was a really weird game, Clinton, because I kind of sort of stopped paying attention to the first half after the first two drives for Michigan when Justice Haynes had two long touchdown runs, and I thought Michigan was just going to blow the doors off of them. But they kind of stagnated a little bit after that. Sounds like there was a drive for New Mexico that it got extended by a questionable penalty. There was a terrible targeting call on Jyshawn Barnum in the second half, and it sounds like Michigan is going to appeal that because if that stays upright or upheld, he will have to miss the first half of their game against Oklahoma next week. But overall, Bryce Underwood looked good in this game. I think 250 yards passing. He has a really lively arm, and there were a couple times he threw it right at a receiver and it went through their hands because I don't think they were expecting the ball to be delivered that perfectly based on what they had last year. But 160 yards and 3 touchdowns in this one for Justice Haynes.
Monster.
Yeah, that they have some. I'm still not sure what they have at the receiver position, and then defensively, just some lapses in this game that you cannot have next week, or it will cost you. Like it, I don't know. Like it's one of those where I try not. It's week one. You don't want to overreact, but also they look kind of crappy against Fresno State week one last year. And everyone's like, oh, it's week one. You don't want to overreact. I'm like, I don't know. They should probably.
Then they came out and looked bad against what, Florida A&M the following week?
It was someone else.
Somebody
I don't
not
know.
good.
Yeah, it was someone not good. It was Arkansas State. They left them
There it
back in
is,
the game.
Red Wolves.
And then they got the crap beat out of them by Texas. So don't have an extra tune-up one in this one. You got Oklahoma next week, and they look fine today. I mean, they played Illinois State. It's not that big of a deal. But any earth-shattering takeaways on this game?
Bryce Underwood has a cannon. He's got a very strong arm. Great release. He puts the ball where it needs to be. Again, you got to have receivers who can catch the ball. My only other note was Justice Haynes looked fantastic. Again, you're going to get a much stiffer test at Oklahoma under the lights next week when Brent Venables is calling the defense. You are playing a team of equivalent or better talent. And if Michigan, I get it. When you play teams like this, they throw random stuff out there to go against you that just teams like Oklahoma aren't going to utilize. But John Mateer was a very good quarterback last year. He has his offensive coordinator. I don't know how much work Jay Knott got tonight. I heard Jay Knott was originally RB3 on the depth chart. I don't know what that was, but
I think he was a little banged up in fall camp was something that I had seen.
So I don't know, man. It's a tough environment for a freshman to step into. He looked pretty thorough, but maybe it's not him. It's the guys that are around him that have to execute and what his offensive line is going to look like in front of him. I don't think Haynes is going to have as many gaping holes just to take off running through against Oklahoma next week. So good first start for Bryce Underwood. Right now he looks as advertised. Let's see what you got in the big show next week. And if you can come out of that with a win, that's going to build a lot of momentum for this team.
Right, and say what you want about Oklahoma as an offensive outfit last year. Their defense was still really good and is still going to be really good this year, so that will be a unique challenge for Michigan next week. College game day in attendance there, too. So.
Oh, nice. No Lee Corso, though. That's a bummer.
No Lee Corso.
Did you get to watch his last headgear pick?
I did. That was really cool.
Yep. I thought it was cool that, like, I had dual screens up, so that was cool that Fox panned to it as well. I'm sure the other networks did as well. Thank you, Lee Corso, for all that you've done for college football, and you made every Saturday pretty damn enjoyable for me as a kid, and when I can tune in as an adult to be able to watch that headgear pick, or at least searching who Corso picked for his headgear that year. I believe he finished with 239 wins, Ryan, out of his like 405 picks.
It's like a
So
68%.
yeah, over
Correct.
500. Pretty damn good, man. And he won a ton when he picked Ohio State. And again, when a program wins 95% of their games, safe odds to pick them. But thank you, Lee Corso.
That is all for us this evening. We will be back with you guys. Are we doing Monday night? Doing a Labor Day night?
We are. That's my game plan because we got to recap your Fighting Irish and
well, I just wanted to make
touch
sure
on.
I don't do it. I took Tuesday and Wednesday off this week, so I'm gonna have a great
good.
week.
I don't know what I was gonna say. Just gonna watch the Notre Dame game tomorrow night. We'll have a second half and a second half to recap of UCLA and Utah. I was fortunate enough, guys. Hopefully you'll check it out. To be invited by our friend Jeffrey the Greek to come on and talk about the Ohio State-Texas game tomorrow. He asked me early last week if I'd do it regardless if they won or lost. He goes, I didn't know if you'd be as willing to do it if they lost. I'm like, I'll come do it for you, man, regardless. Like, I'm happy to talk about it with you. So we're recording that tomorrow around 5 p.m. I don't know if they go live for their shows, so I'm sure he'll tweet that out when he gets it up, and I will do my best to help grow the show, as we say, while I'm on there.
Grow the show. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us either live this evening or checking us out Sunday morning. We'll be back with you guys Monday night or Tuesday in your podcast feed as we get into week 2. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening.
See ya.